problem. There you go, Boris. Okay. So we got tiers. Obviously, you got to start with each letter. So down at the bottom here, we got the entire history of French culture. Erdogan, Debbie, Carter, Boris Yeltsin.
The entire history of French culture.
Bro, the havoc they have reaped on West Africa is insane.
Yeah,
awful people, the French. Speaking about awful people, let's see. I mean, you seem to like this guy. What do you think?
I don't know if I like him, but I can't. I honestly can't tell if I'm supposed to like him or if I don't.
Well, tell people who he is. Tell people about him.
Okay, so this is Nayib Bukele. He's the president of El Salvador? That's his title? He's the president, correct?
Oh, he's head of state. He's head of state or something. He's
head
the guy who holds up parliament with guns.
Yeah, and so there's a couple things you need to kind of key in with this guy. He really seems to want to transform El Salvador. Okay, good. And he wants to reduce crime, which according to some reports he has. He's kind of created these like mass prisons to deal with it, though.
I was about to say,
which I don't know if that's
so when they say we've dealt with crime, it means they've just arrested people and put them in jail. That's how they deal with crime.
Yeah, and then so.
But have you seen the prisons are insane, though?
Oh no, they're nuts. They're nuts.
But also, they've got them all, the entire Colombian drug
with their hands on their heads.
All those gangs are insane.
And the other thing with him is, before he became head of state, he was like a government official in a town or a city in El Salvador somewhere. And I don't know the exact details. Let me pull up an article actually. That there were cover-ups of murders in the towns he was in. And he's also famous for making Bitcoin a legal tender.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah. So I'm not an economist. I don't know.
But has he done more good for the world than Jimmy Carter?
That's a very hard thing to scale because how long was Jimmy Carter president? Did he do the full 8?
No, I don't think so. No. Jimmy
Carter didn't do the full 8, and then
he was just a break. It was just like everyone is going to have a day off forever, That's how Biden is right now. Like Biden, we all got a day off for a while. We don't have to deal with ridiculous shit because it's so it's just calm, it's quiet, he's not funny though. That's the thing. Neither was Carter. You can't you could look at SNL skits of Carter and it's that was awful. You can't make fun of him.
No,
I'm gonna put.
There's not much material there.
I think I'm gonna put him right here. I don't know. I don't know.
Just given the country that surrounds him. C or D is fair given the controversy.
Yeah, the thing is, he is that's the thing. Is he is an authoritarian tyrant, but it's you look at other things in the region, and a lot of people blame Venezuela. They blame everything on the social system and stuff. It's there's failures all around Venezuela, but the damage that the gangs have done to that country, the Colombian gang networks, which are all through those countries, the cocaine runners, all those dudes are insane.
Yeah,
they cut people's hearts out while they're alive.
The most insane part, speaking of gang networks, about MS-13 is when they originated in the U.S. MS-13 is not a thing that originated in El Salvador, Honduras, wherever. These were U.S. born dudes of Salvadorian origin, and then the CIA and FBI, DEA just dumped them all into Salvadorian prisons, and deported them all back to El Salvador. And now El Salvador has to deal with them, or has been dealing with them since the 80s and 90s.
Okay. How about how about Vladimir Zelensky?
I don't know.
I think that's a pretty safe Shinzo Abe right there.
You think so? I don't know a whole lot about his career pre the war. I
Um,
knew he was president, and I knew he was Jewish. That's about it. And that
well,
he
so
was that he was on he was in TV. That's all I knew before the war.
oh man, have you seen like the any of the clips from his TV show?
Just a couple, but yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, it's actually a really good show. But he's Paddington Bear in Ukrainian.
He's Ukrainian Paddington Bear?
Yeah,
That's hilarious. That's so
but
funny. Me and my friend have an insult about Paddington Bear, so that's funny as hell.
um,
So he did
so
the voice?
yeah, he's the voice of it. Yeah, but I would say so. The thing is that um, there is definitely some serious problems that are underplayed with Ukraine. Obviously, the biggest one is the fascist networks, but even Ukraine acknowledges this. Is that the big thing that they're worried about is that these people are going to be, they're worried about giving these people so much guns they basically want these people to die and not survive the war because they would have to worry about arming these like militia after the war. And I think that's partly kind of what the war in Donbass was meant to create. The ideology on both sides, the accelerationists on both sides, they're exactly the same. Neither one of them like Russia or Ukraine at the end of the day. And they're just fascists.
Yeah, it's too liberal for him. Russia's too
Mm-hmm.
liberal for him.
But then also on the other
Which is
side,
not
the
a
people,
like it's a joke, but it's not a joke when I say that.
well, they want to go. They all want
Yeah,
to
right?
restore the old empire. He's got a lot of charisma, so he's able to get a lot of people behind him for the war, and that's what kind of makes him important. I think if you didn't have somebody with that much charisma, it could be significantly worse.
Yeah, no, and it's kind of you have to consider like the people who previously ruled Ukraine. Like he's probably better. Like before Euromaidan and all that.
Oh well, especially before Euromaidan, but
Yeah, like
um,
he's much better than those guys.
I think I'll leave. I
Trudeau.
think I'll leave this one up to you. I say I didn't want to say I wanted to grab a funny picture, but I think there's certain pictures that are just overplayed, right?
Yeah. C, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. He hasn't really
Yeah,
affected the world at all.
he doesn't he doesn't affect the world that much. He's a very like hollow liberal, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
he
he.
talks all this big game about climate change and stuff, and then he'll approve like oil pipeline and lumber contracts and all this shit, which whether you agree it's important to the economy or not, it's like if you're going to be a climate change activist, be a climate change activist. Like at least the MPs who are conservative who want to approve these pipelines and like these deforesting initiatives in Canada, mostly on native land, by the way. At least they're like open about it. They're just kind of like, yeah, like the economy runs this way. This is how we want to run it.
Yeah,
But Trudeau, I mean, but
he
I
just
also
seems
I
so
also think he's
generic
like
to me. You know,
exactly,
like
exactly, and I
he
also think
literally is like the
he's
most
often
generic
criticized.
C tier president you could get.
Yeah, but the other thing about Trudeau is I feel like he's often criticized for like the wrong reasons by his opponents. It's like liberal, lying, anti-free speech soy boy. It's like that's not why people should dislike him. Like call him a soy boy all you want. That's not. First off, it's not true. Second of all, that's not a reason to dislike him.
Okay, so Nana of Ghana.
Oh, I don't know much about this guy to be honest with you, but Ghana's
Listen,
doing well, right?
well, so he's definitely an S tier. Ghana. I'm not sure if you remember that Economist poll where it was like lights at night to measure like how economic growth is and like how much dictators lie and stuff like that. Do you remember that thing? It was an economist poll.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the top of that
Yep.
poll in the green of free countries was Ghana. They're by far the most successful economy in the world up until 2021, I believe. So, but the thing is that the entire world has been in an economic struggle. Like the war in Ukraine has affected a lot of people, especially after COVID. But Ghana was actually very successful in COVID. Their economy maintained during COVID. So they're having a major inflation economic crisis that came out of nowhere. So, this might fall down to an A, depending on how he like handles it. It's been like about a year, so it's like hard to tell.
How long has he been in power?
Ooh, okay, so that's something you'd have to look up, but I think it's 2016, 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
But
he's been around for.
Yeah, and also what's really cool about Ghana is that they're in West Africa and they're not based on the French currency, the whatever they call it, the CFR.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
Yeah, the CFR. So basically, their petrodollar. So their economy is not based on that, so they're really well off because of that.
It's like certain political scientists attribute and like economists attribute their success post World War II and like the end of colonization and stuff to the fact that like when they were the Gold Coast, they managed to kind of, I can't remember who they were under the control of. I think it was Britain, and they kind of managed to like leave Britain through like a civil movement as opposed to an armed one. And they think that's had like long-lasting effects from the 1950s onward. And that because they didn't have to gain their independence through an armed struggle, it's kind of made the road of things of becoming like a nation state easier for them.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why West Africa is so bad is because of France. The slave trade, right? We're looking at statistics. It was how many people like were alive during that period by like the millions, right? It's on the Wikipedia page for Atlantic slave trade. You can go look at it. But so after World War I and II, so many people died in Europe that the population of Europe was the same as Africa. And so that's how much their Africa's population actually grew during that time. Well, because it was just post-slavery, right? So West Africa was absolutely decimated by slavery. And then right after that, the French are there, right? So it's a lot like a lot of places have also like were held back by the Ottomans, right? Like, so like the state that Iraq is in today is basically like Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, like those places are fucked to this day because of the Ottomans, right? It's like a lot of these places in Africa still haven't gotten out of the colonial grip.
Buhari? Is that who that is?
Yep. He's got a big cake.
D?
Yeah. Why do you think that? You think he hasn't been good for Nigeria? He's made it worse?
Just given the way things are trending in Nigeria, it doesn't seem like he's made things better.
ISIS?
And I don't know what region of the country he's from, but we know he's Muslim. And the Muslim parts of Nigeria, like the north and the northeast, they haven't been doing well at all. And I'd imagine a lot of that is due to how he's mishandled the situation with ISIS and stuff.
No, he is up for election, so.
Yeah, I don't see. And then you had those protests like 2-3 years ago, 2020, 2021-ish. Over there was like a bill that was in place that people were saying allowed for the arbitrary arrests of like certain young people and stuff. And again, it doesn't seem like Nigeria is trending in the right direction. I mean, I think we can both agree on that.
it's hard. I wouldn't say that they're doing great, but they are one of those countries that are like severely underrated that for their importance.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And also they have a lot of deals with like arms, like they get guns.
Hmm. A lot of them.
Yeah, so I think they might be important weapons traffickers for a lot of interests. You give the guns to Nigerians, get the guns to the interests that you want to back and things like that, just like how Jordan is. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
why everyone is always so obsessed with them. But I'm not. I don't have enough evidence to really claim that for sure.
Yeah, actually saw a video. I'm not a video, photo earlier today. Colin Mayfield, the photographer. I'm sure you've seen him on Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
He had some videos from when he visited a camp in Nigeria, and there was some guy there who had a musket for self-defense, and it was like legally owned and everything.
The Gurbanguly Barkhamenov regime of Turkmenistan. He's dead, but
like
his son is
here,
still alive. So that's that. So I'm saying it's the entire regime that we're judging here.
Probably like an E or an F.
Well, I was gonna say S tier because they've brought a lot of joy and comedy to the world.
They're pretty funny. They're pretty funny. The videos of him like driving out into the like backwoods areas of the country and burning drugs.
I don't really know how to feel about this country. Like, it's not the worst authoritarian country. There's like certain freedoms you don't have that are really, really stupid. It's more like stupid laws than it is like oppressive laws in many ways.
No, that's true.
Like Thailand kind of has some of those silly laws, like you can't be mean to people who are, run the country, stuff like that. I know that they do a lot of business with like gas and things like that, but I really think that they might be doing stuff with like the Afghan resistance, and like they're allowing like the Afghan resistance and like to train in their country. Like I've seen, that's the thing is like the UK. There's no way to figure out the truth.
You're talking about like the NRF,
stuff like that. Certain resistance movements, as in like the Turkmenistan is kind of a neutral country. It kind of like nobody really hates them. Everyone kind of can work with them, Turkey is close with the Afghan opposition, like they gave like Dushtam exile in their country, like when you're taking war criminals in exile, like that's a pretty big deal. So Turkey, they have that, huh?
How long ago was that when they took Dushtam in exile?
Oh, that was it was Ghani's first term, because he was Ghani's first vice president.
90s, 80s?
No, Ashraf Ghani. Ashraf Ghani.
Oh. Okay.
What's really funny, there's a clip of Justin Trudeau forgetting who Ashraf Ghani is. It's really funny. So, but yeah, the current like recognized leader of the resistance, not Masood, but the spy master, I forget his name. He always wants to go to war with Pakistan. That's like all he talks about. But like there's elements that Turkey is friendly with, and obviously Turkey has interest. And Turkey, they've been doing that thing in Somalia where they're trying to expand and kind of do like not so much a mercenary thing, but like more like a first group thing where they're like training elite forces in these countries. They're trying to like do that type of thing. I think there's something like that going on, but also no clue. Just kind of shooting that in the dark.
True.
So I don't know, but I would say just because they're so authoritarian.
Is Ashraf Ghani still in Turkey?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know where he is. I thought he was in like Dubai or something.
Yeah, it could be there too. Both of which aren't bad spots to end up if you're a middle-aged Afghan guy. Who's this guy?
AMLO.
Is he the Mexico guy?
Yeah, he's the Mexican president.
Andres
Hugs,
Manuel
not bullets.
Lopez
Yeah, and
Obrador.
then he also said the other day that there's not enough fathers in America, that's why we have a fentanyl crisis. So Andres Manuel Lopez. So
There's also this AP
AMLO.
News headline that says he asked for China's help in curbing the production of fentanyl.
So this is going to
And
be
he
a pretty
apparently he criticized the felony charges against Trump. So that's interesting.
Oh yeah, and Trump. This is the dude who Trump said was going to pay for the wall. Here's the thing, though. This is a hard one, but
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about.
I personally hate him. I want to be clear about this. I personally hate him, but I'm putting him in B.
Why is that?
Because of the cartel. But the thing is like there's femicide going on. There's so many problems facing Mexico, right? But what he's doing, like Mexico empowering their military is a good thing.
Right, yeah.
And especially imperialist and liberal, Mexico strengthening their military would end up strengthening North America hegemony. But like the thing about Mexico is that like they have had like a serious problem in history, like because like you have like they've had wars with America in the past that collapsed their country, and then they like get into these authoritarian regimes that collapse the country. So they've had a huge problem where these issues kind of compounded and steamrolled that they're still trying to work themselves out of. But the thing is that the country has so many issues with things like corruption and all that stuff that it's legitimately like really difficult to pull it out of that. But I would say he's like more of like he's like kind of like Mr. Rogers of nationalism. You know? He's like empowering the army, you know. Have you seen their new rifle? They have like a fucking knockoff, like what is it, the G3 or G36?
Yeah, no, their army's getting beefed up.
Yeah,
they've been getting beefed up for a while now.
But generally, I think that the thing about Mexico is that all their population is around Mexico City, really. So beach from Mexico City to the border and stuff, it wasn't just kind of like how out west we mostly have sheriffs, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to be that remote and like extend like security and things like that.
That's true. So what are the reasons to dislike this guy? Because I feel like
I said, femicide.
But
like,
would you say those aren't like more like the femicide, the cartels, corruption? Aren't those more like problems like kind of inherent to Mexico, or do you think they can be attributed to him?
Yes, I would say these are more problems inherent to Mexico. And
like, is it his inaction on some of these issues?
He definitely is some guy who's a little bit inactiony, but also like his whole motto of the hugs, not bullets and stuff. Like it's weird. He's kind of, and then like I said, he said that the reason why there's a fentanyl crisis is because dads don't hug their children and stuff. He's weird. He says a lot of weird things, but like, I don't know. It's just, I think that the thing is like the last Mexican presidents, like they've had they've been trying to, he's the guy who decided, basically the reason he's there is he's the guy who decided the police cannot handle the cartel. It needs to be done with the military.
Okay.
And that's the main reason why he's there, is because he's actually making a serious change in Mexico. And, you know, maybe, you know, someone will see this and tell me why I'm completely wrong, because he's extremely controversial. And like I said, I personally fucking hate him. I can't stand him. Let's see. Speaking of people I can't stand.
Yeah.
No.
Now, I'm gonna put my personal biases aside for a second, but like, if you're an Israeli, right? Like, what has this guy done to, like, why would you vote for this guy?
Also, and like also, if we put our bias aside, let's look at like some of the Israeli leaders in the past. Ben Gurion,
Ben Gurion,
Menachem
yeah.
Begum. What's the woman? I forgot how to pronounce it.
Goldmare.
Goldmare. So like you got that Steven Spielberg movie where she takes it's about her seeking the revenge for like Black September, right?
Yeah.
And then the
I'm
Begum.
sorry, it's Golda Meir. Golda
Okay.
Meir. I said Goldmare like it was like compounded one name. It's Golda
Yeah,
Meir.
I knew it was G. I knew it was like G
Yeah.
and then like an M. But then the Begum Doctrine, where it's like the amount of so this is crazy. When the Iran-Iraq war started, Israel and Iran were working together. So Iran hit his nuclear facilities, right? And they were sharing intelligence with Israel at that time.
You don't have to tell me that. That's like that's Arab talking points 101.
But yeah, so that's one of the things that we did with Jack is I went through each of Israel's operations to like destroy nuclear facilities and like all the weird shit that was going on with like their deals and stuff.
Yeah, no.
So I would say, especially when you like, if you really put your bias aside and you look at the leaders that Israel has had, it's like those three people have been, they've objectively pushed that country in the right direction. It's maybe have been at the expense of certain people that you like, the Palestinians, but this guy right here, also like, just being a Holocaust revisionist, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, the Iranian regime.
That's the current one.
I mean, we could say it's after Khomeini.
I mean, Khamenei, he's better than Khomeini because Khomeini was legitimately like mentally tapped. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh no, that's one of the things that I was showing Jack was the Iran-Iraq war and like how he had the technical advantage. Like he had the Tomcats, he had the tanks, he had the numbers and all that stuff. But he just literally just threw people at the wall because like insane.
The wires were crossed with that guy. Khamenei still a shit person, but he's less like I don't know if dog.
He's realistic.
Yeah, and he's also I don't know, something about Khomeini was just a very dark and twisted person. Khamenei's a little less like that. He's just kind of more like he's more of a politician at the end of the day.
Has he ever? Has either one of them been locked up? I assume
Khomeini was in hiding at one point. I think.
Yeah, but I know he was exiled. But was he like locked up and tortured?
Could be. I see that as a real possibility, especially like the psychology of Khomeini is one of the interesting things about his reign, because he was very like Winnie the Pooh.
No, come on, man, that's not cool. You can't just like say people look like cartoon characters. You know who this is. That's clearly not an animated bear.
Click with me initially.
Also straight F. All right, we want to talk about China's history, right? Like the only way it can get worse is Mao, right? So Deng Xiaoping, Hu Jintao, like those people put China so much in the pathway. Like everyone was expecting China to like be, like the whole thing where the wolf warriors are like China will be the best, blah, 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 blah. They could have been. Like China could be on top right now. Like imagine if they kept the direction of like everything before Xi comes in, because he resets everything. Like he has set the country backwards, way back from all these people that have brought it forward.
Okay, John, I'm gonna have to stop because some people are gonna see this and they're not gonna agree with you when you say that Xi has set the country back. Like, could you get into specifics?
How he set the country back?
Yeah,
I can. But that's the thing is that Jack is much better and more focused on China, and he's too tired to come in today. So we can definitely come back to it. But the thing is that if you look at like one of the big ones is the national security law, right, with Hong Kong that came into play with the Hong Kong crackdowns. And they basically put that national security law in place, and they were like, this basically is anyone who comes to the country that they deem a threat, they can basically detain you like it's Guantanamo Bay for no reason for an unlimited amount of time.
Hold on. Didn't that like extradition law originally come in place because some dude like murdered his girlfriend?
No, this is like if you're in the country. It's not. They won't. It's not like, extradition. They do extradite people. That's the other thing. Is like
I don't
they have like agents all around the world to patrol their own people. Right? Yeah, with Hong Kong protests.
Well, but would taking someone from Hong Kong be considered extradition in this case, or no?
Yes. Okay, you have a great point. Yes, it would have been considered technically. I mean, I don't know. That's a very tough question. And that could probably be debated at some high level.
It has honestly a lot of political implications. If you
yes, it does.
Hong
Yeah, but like seriously, just like imagine how relations with Taiwan would be today between China if they continued on the course that they had beforehand. And now they're getting to this point where they're like everyone has to bend over backwards to cater them. There's controversy all the time, like Blizzard, like a StarCraft player gets banned or something because they like use some
the whole thing with certain well, I don't know if this is a China thing or just an Asian culture thing, but the whole thing with like athletes who come over there having to cover up their tattoos.
Like, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I think that was a thing with the NBA. It was a problem. I don't think it's a problem when they go over there now, but like at first, they were like pretty weird about them like covering up their tattoos and shit, or so I heard.
It looks like this is breaking again. You said NBA, and I think I'm not sure if I've gotten Kim Jong-un. Here we go.
Oh boy. This is one of those if I speak moments. I was wondering who that was. I was like, is that like I kept seeing like this guy with a Joker face in that like left-hand corner, and I was like, is that Putin? Is that Ataturk? Who is that? Probably F.
Really?
F or D.
I wouldn't. I mean, come on. He's not like. Look who's on F, man. like that's like that.
Dude, the Egyptian currency is so devalued. He's putting so much money into these useless infrastructure projects.
What, does he look like a man with a plan?
That's true. Maybe I don't know. He's old. He's like 70. It's like who knows if he even has a plan. Maybe I should be nicer to him. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh.
I mean, we've talked about like comparing to leaders of the past as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's much better
than Erdogan.
Yeah,
and he's not funny enough to get into D tier.
Have you ever seen the video of him riding the bike?
Gurbanguly Berkmadihov?
No. Sisi. He's like buzzing around on this bike, like age 69, 70 years old. He's just flying around on this bike. And by bike, I mean bicycle, not a motorbike. Who else do we have?
I'm just looking at. I'm trying to find a funny picture of Kim Jong Un, which is easy. It's easier. It's obviously easy to do, but I want. I was trying to find one because, like, how they did, like, when his sister was coming around, how they were like doing her up in anime and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find one where it was not just him and his sister, but also the daughter who looks like is actually going to get the throne. George and Maloney with their best friend here.
You might know. I'm going to sound ignorant again, but who is this?
This is the Prime Minister, President of Italy. She's
Oh, okay. That's the
Um,
crazy chick.
yeah, if we play 6 Degrees from Kevin Bacon with Mussolini, she's 3 degrees removed from Mussolini's party.
Uh, I remember people got really worried about her, but don't like Italians change their prime ministers like people change their T-shirts?
Yeah, and also to understand why someone who is literally a fascist, like literally that uses the tricolor flame of Mussolini and all that shit, openly fascist. She has been since becoming prime minister or president, head of state. She has been like kind of mellowed it out and like gotten, because she was like very much in with like the accelerationists, the dudes who like the fascists that we have to worry about in Ukraine who might get armed. She was like in
Right.
tight with those cats, very more on the Putin side of things. She could have easily turned Italy into like a Hungary situation, and she hasn't so far. But she's also like, she says some insane shit that you can just like look up and
What's her name? Maloney? Am I stupid for thinking Maloney doesn't sound like an Italian name?
Well, I'm pronouncing it wrong, so
Oh, okay.
it's Giorgia Maloney, but yeah, Giorgia Mussolini. So what people need to also look at is that like everywhere, the economy is very bad in the world right now, right? So that's one factor with Italy. Now, Italy's
economy's been bad for a while,
yes,
hasn't it? Yeah.
So Italy's industry works a very specific way. If you look at like anything that's made in Italy, like cars, guns, like these products that are known for being like an Italian good, they are high end. Like they're some of the nicest cars or guns or things like that. Like Italian
washing machines. They make like high end washing machines.
But the thing is that these things take a lot of money to invest into. Like there are a lot of like hand tooled craftsmanship that take years, and it's more of like one of those old school like the blacksmith and apprentice type trade jobs, right?
Yeah.
And there's been an immigration crisis.
Like
there's no jobs for immigrants in Italy because it's high end specialty, right? And this is how you get to the point where you have a fascist who's openly anti-immigrant, who literally, like not that long ago, there was people who drowned that were like basically her fault,
Right.
So it's the thing is that she hasn't been around long enough, and she probably won't be around long enough.
How long has she been in? 2-3 years?
No, she's brand new. She's brand new, only a few months.
Actually, really? I feel like her getting elected was so long ago.
She's been around for a while. October 2022.
Okay.
She's 5'4".
See, I feel like that was years ago.
Yeah. Also, her party is called Brothers of Italy. Like, come on. If they don't need to spell it out. So that's the thing is like, I don't think she's been around long enough to make the world worse, and she has the meme factor. And one of those examples is this guy right here. This is the general of Uganda. He's like the leader's son. And it says, for my Italian friends, because he said that he would give Giorgia Maloney a cow for marriage, and how many cows he was like talking, like he's in love with her and talking about how many cows he wants to give her, right?
Dude, those are actually sick cows.
Yeah, but the thing is that that a lot of economies, especially in Africa, do not like to function. So what, like you think about currency specifically, currency is done so much to destroy Africa. Like, yeah. So they make you use so like Ivory Coast, I think it was, they used to use seashells as a currency. And the France would accept them and trade in seashells, but eventually they made this, the CFR, and now it's like, now we're going to tax you in our dollars. You have to do trade in our dollars. So a lot of people, so like, I can't believe, it's not the Maasai, it's a tribe in Kenya. They're the ones that only eat the raw meat out of like the animals that Liver King talks about.
Speaking of meat, though, I bet you a steak from one of those cows is fantastic.
Exactly. So like, Messiah. It is. What did I? Is that what I said? Did I say?
That's what
else?
you said. You said the Messiah. Yeah.
Fuck, man. So like the Messiah are a really good example of this. They're an entire tribal economy, right? So these guys, they're nomadic, and so they like build an entire nomadic village around like their livestock. And their livestock are at the center of the village, and then they like build like their houses outside of the village, and then like thorny perimeter walls and stuff because they have to like defend against lions and stuff. And like when people die, they just leave them. They just put them out in the like they don't. They just leave them behind. Like they have it's a dark like ritual where they don't have like any death rituals or things like that. But because there's a lot of localized economies that are still funded through trade and stuff, they're probably some of the richest people in the world. These guys are actually millionaires. Like they all have like nice ass iPhones that they'll like pull out and use, but like will also like just like make their own shoes out of like car tires and stuff.
Oh no, yeah.
And like white women will go live with these guys because they're so wealthy. Like
I'm familiar with this. Yeah, no, it's kind of like how the Zulu tribe in South Africa is actually extremely wealthy.
Yeah. So like these cows are really nice. And so this guy specifically, I actually wanted to crop this, not shrink it down. I just want him. This guy specifically, he's going to go right next to his homegirl. Because even though he's not a leader, he's the son of the.
He's a military leader, though, right?
Yeah, he's the general, and like he was joking around about how he would invade and crush Kenya too. Like this dude's Twitter is insane. He is like one of the most insane people on Twitter. I swear to God, it's always.
What's his name?
I couldn't tell you how this is pronounced.
Yeah, fair enough. Send me his Twitter account later, though. This sounds funny.
I mean, it's right here if anyone wants to click it.
Yeah.
I guess so if we're comparing him to North Korea's leaders, I need to get a snap. Anyway, if we're comparing them to North Korea's leaders, right?
Yeah.
He's objectively the best thing to happen to the country, right?
No. I'd say so. He's definitely not as brutal as his dad.
I don't know.
Doesn't seem to be, at least. And you also mentioned like a couple times throughout this where you're like, how much damage have they done to the world at large? Realistically, how much damage has Kim Jong-un done to the world at large?
They like to sell some guns, so they've like you'll look at like war, like they're involved with the like Arab-Israeli war.
Yeah, but that's not.
Was
that's
there
not
a
really,
Cuban unit as well there? Yeah. Like a Cuban force came?
No, that I know exactly what you're referring to, but that wasn't him. Like he doesn't really do what. Who did that? Was that his dad or his granddad?
I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, like, North Korea is weird. They randomly get involved in conflicts that have nothing to do with them for some reason.
Yeah, no, they trained like the Syrian Air Force in like the 60s.
I would assume they probably had a better Air Force back then.
Oh no, I think up until like the 70s, it was you were better off living in North Korea than South Korea.
If we're just looking at him, also he did use a nerve agent to come to power. You know, he assassinated somebody.
That was pretty bad.
But
to be frank, I've also heard, again, and this is just people theorizing, is that he actually wants to open up North Korea to like the world, but he's worried about the generals around him possibly turning on him if he does so.
Well, the alleged rumors that he wants to open up the country. Let me tell you why it won't happen. Why he will not open up this country. Okay, you got the Gorbachev effect, all right? Glasnost, right. Perestroika, collapse the Soviet Union. You open up North Korea, those people find out what the outside world is, and like that smokescreen comes down the way it did when Gorbachev came. That's gonna just not be good for him. You know, they're gonna take him out to the streets. Like it's gonna be brutal for that regime. Obviously, Gorbachev S tier, responsible for the collapse of the Soviet Union, so obviously made the world a better place.
I mean, I'm not saying the Soviet Union was good, but he did not manage that collapse properly. Like damage control could have been. It's not just his fault. People also need to put some responsibility on some of these post-Soviet leaders. But holy fuck.
Okay, so F obviously clearly has made the world a worse place.
For sure.
You look at the policy with Yeltsin that he was coming back from and coming into, and again, it's the same thing kind of with Xi. Is the country had everything set up for it to be really successful and have a future, and instead it's got fucking Vladimir Putin. I kind of feel bad for Russia at this point. It's like, you know,
as a state, it's not working out, bro.
Yeah. And like also like it's the fall of the Soviet Union, like it was basically anarcho-capitalism and the power structures that formed. And that's the thing is like you look at like FDR and like the oil monopoly and the steel monopoly and things like that, is that there's capitalists who have more power than government in this world right now.
Right.
And that was also like a thing back with FDR. Like, yeah, and that's the thing is like when Russia collapsed, the capitalists still had their power. So the capitalists are the one who like were able to take control in that situation. Really weird collapse of a country. We have next one here is the entire nation of Pakistan represented by one man.
Well, fucking the Vice journalist Saruri, I think his name is, when he was doing the documentary after they like killed Bin Laden, he was like, if Pakistan knew that Bin Laden was in the country and didn't tell anybody, Pakistan is a failed state. If Pakistan didn't know that Bin Laden was in the country and he was killed by U.S. forces, Pakistan is a failed state.
Well, here's the thing. Pakistan knew because we knew. We knew the whole time.
Yeah, probably.
We
were just waiting for, I guess, the opportune moment, right? They were just kind of waiting for a time to go in there. There's
two stories here. Both have evidence backing them up. The first one is basically the movie Zero Dark 30. Torture Queen, Alfreda, she is the one who was like advising the SEALs when they got like on the ground. But me personally, like, you know, there's in the movie a girl dies. Her name's Jen Matthews, right? Jen Matthews was actually a really good CIA agent. I legitimately think that the girl that is in Zero Dark 30, Alfreda, she took credit for shit that Jen Matthews did, because who's going to do anything about it? But also, so there is a huge gap in that story, right? The Kurds in Iraq capture Hassan Gal, I think that's what it is. And then Hassan Gal is a courier for Al-Qaeda, communicating to Al-Qaeda in Iraq at that time, right?
Right.
So the Kurds literally are drinking tea with him when they show up to, I think it was a military unit. It was either the Marines or the Army to show up to render him. But the Kurds were just like drinking tea with him, and he was telling them everything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And
it's
so
kind of crazy what happens when you treat like opposition forces humanely. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So like, Hassan Gal is in the movie Zero Dark 30, and we have his interrogation records. So I don't remember exactly what happened to him, but he is one of the people who give us the identity of Bin Laden's courier. The other dude is it's like Al-Libi or something. It's the other guy who was
the guy who got captured with Abu Zubaydah, I mean?
No. That's Ibn Sheikh Al-Libi, but Al-Qaeda. Let me just type it. Al-Qaeda members. They literally, he looks just like he does in the movie. He's got weird like birthmarks or scars around his eyes. That's the thing. Is just like, have you noticed like a lot of terrorists are so fucking ugly? Like fucking, I always make fun of Zohari's forehead. It's so ugly. It is hideous.
Oh, dude, that's from Praying a Lot.
That's not true. I've heard that from Pakistani as well. It's not true.
No, but people actually develop that on their head if they pray a lot. But I don't know how true that is because I know guys who prayed 5 times a day since they were like 7. They're like in their 50s now, and they don't have that on their forehead. So I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not sure how true that is.
Like,
Well, wait, hold up. Not the sidetrack, but if it's not from praying so much, what do you think it's from? Like, is that like a like disfigurement? Is that like a condition? Like, what's going on there?
Oh, I think he's just got a fucked up forehead.
He's got a fucked up forehead, dude. I mean, a lot of Muslim Brotherhood guys got that thing as well. Maybe it's because if you pray a lot in prison, you're praying on like the fucking.
Maybe they
floor.
purposely give it to themselves to look.
I could see that too. Yeah, it's a weird thing because people do say it's from praying a lot, but I'm just like, I don't know. I've met people who pray a lot who have like immaculate skin.
At this point, I would probably find this guy's name quicker by looking up the Zero Dark 30 names and cast list. I think he's dead, though. I think he might be dead, or no, we tortured him. We definitely tortured this guy. I don't know what happened to him, though. It's Faraj Al-Libi.
Okay.
I was so close. Faraj Al-Libi. So,
based on his name, I'm guessing he's Libyan.
I'm not sure, but if I share this tab, this is him in Zero Dark 30. You can't really see it, but he does have the birthmarks on his face. But like, look, it looks like he literally has shit smeared on his face, man.
Is that his actual face? Holy shit!
Yeah, that's his actual face. You know, and here's KSM. Here's him in because all these pictures somehow leaked of all the inmates, right? So here's him at Gitmo, but it's kind of hard. Can't really tell if he has.
And those are just natural aberrations on his face. That's not like from some shit that happened to him.
I don't know. I have tried looking up why is his face fucked up.
Dude, you might want to have to show these pics to a dermatologist. We got to get to the bottom of this.
You know, it looks like it might have cleared up. See, he doesn't look like he has it anymore. He looks
is that photo on the right also him, the one in the suit?
Yes. So
okay, so he looks
because they all had fake identities and shit. They all had like real jobs and shit. So this guy also gives us. So they both give us because they have like the two names, you know. So at this point, between him and Hassan Ghal, and we know for a fact him, right? Neither one of them were tortured when they gave up this intelligence. He's tortured after he gives up this intelligence.
Oh, that's
and then it renders zero actionable intelligence. So that's what's important.
Pointless.
Is like so we can be critical. We can be critical about a lot of things, like. You know, maybe Guantanamo might not be ethical, but it's like, where are you going to put people that are active threats to the country? They're not like a uniformed first. I can understand the dilemma, at least, that the state has there.
Right.
But the fact that torture rendered zero intelligence, and then like Zero Dark 30, they made it kind of imply that torture is one of the things that gave us that actionable intelligence. And they try to say that like, so like they do sessions, right? So it's like they don't interrogate them while they're waterboarding. They do it after. They'll like stop waterboarding and then interrogate them and then do it again. So they're trying to say that this happened like between waterboarding and he was like already had been tortured or something. So it's like, oh no, they're just trying to confuse you because he wasn't actively being tortured. It's all bullshit. So they knew about this while the torture program was active, and it's only active for like maybe 2004. There's like a timeline that you can see that kind of plays out in the documents the way it does in the movie. But then there's a jump, right? There's a jump from when they get the courier's name all the way to when the base is bombed, the CIA base is bombed, whatever that base bombing is. I always forget, but we bring it up before. We've talked about it before, right? When Al Qaeda bombed the CIA base that they were operating the KPF out of. That's when the story picks back up, right? And then from there, the NSA intercepts them calling somebody who was like in the Al Qaeda network, right? And then they intercepted a phone call and like tracked this phone call down all of a sudden, and like that's when the story kind of gets really weird. So it's like I have no doubt that they knew it a long time ago. Now, there's two other sources of the story, right? Both of them are just as questionable as the CIA. First one, Seymour Hersh, right? So Seymour Hersh's account is that somebody walks in and basically tells, like, it's very clear to the Pakistani that they know where bin Laden is, right? And like they knew about it like back at a certain time. He's then backed up by a WikiLeaks account of a leaked cable that says that they knew where bin Laden was, right? There is no trustworthy source there, so you kind of have to interpret the facts how you would want to. My personal bias is they knew where bin Laden was the whole time. What was the point of killing him? It would have made him a martyr, right? He's in this house. What was he actually doing for Al-Qaeda at that point?
Right.
He was in a prison of his own design. Let him rot. Pakistan knew about it, and Pakistan probably didn't want him killed on their country. You know.
Well, didn't the U.S. the U.S. Circumvent certain laws about getting the SEALs into Pakistan? Like they were.
Okay.
It was illegal, like internationally speaking.
Yes, but everything they do is illegal.
Everything
the CIA does is illegal. That's why they exist. You know, at least we didn't use the Coast Protection Force. It's really no different. It's no different than using them. It's actually more ethical to send a kill squad in. But like one of the things that people say is like, why didn't they drone strike it?
Seems like a bit too much collateral damage.
They needed the DNA.
Oh, to confirm that it was him?
Yeah. The question is, what was actually going on behind the scenes there? They obviously were like, oh, we could kill him at any time. We have to wait until it's going to win me an election. Was it between an election year? Did he get reelected because of that kill?
Could be.
Yeah, and like
factor.
And then he had a spat with Petraeus, right? This is fucked up because like I generally think that the Republican Party needs somebody to like fix that shit. So General Petraeus would have ran against Obama that term. So what they do is they put him in charge of the CIA, knowing that he's cheating on his wife, and then basically not frame him, but nail him for sharing intelligence, the person he's having an affair with. But they basically sidelined this guy's entire career to prevent him from running against Obama, and it's really fucked up because he is the reason why the Iraq war turned around, you know, because nobody else gave a shit and we're just letting people be slaughtered. He came in and he was like, hey, you want to work with us and not have this country go to shit? We'll pay you. And they're like, oh, okay. He rewrites the entire U.S. strategy on warfare. Like, you should definitely look him up and like just look up his book.
I'm familiar mostly with what he did in Iraq.
Yeah,
but he's the one who paid all the tribes, right?
Yeah, and he didn't ask any permission to do that from the state. He just went in and did it and got it done. So I think he would have destroyed Obama if they didn't sideline him like they did. So I would say on that whole side tangent, I would say knowing about bin Laden is not what qualifies Pakistan as a failed state. But the controversial question here is not our opinions on whether Pakistan is like a failed or stable country or things like that. I think Pakistan is fine, personally. The question is, has the nation of Pakistan been good or bad for the world? And then, like, you can answer this one.
I don't know. I really don't.
Listen, I am the most Al-Qaeda one here.
It's like every other nation state, though. Like, it's kind of just like run of the mill. I'm not a fan of their actions in Afghanistan, maybe, but it's not like it was all bad.
They do have a genocide on their record as well. Zia-ul-Haq committed genocide.
Bangladesh, right? Yeah. Why didn't we just do Imran Khan? Why do we got to drag the whole nation of Pakistan into it, man?
because it's funny to just throw things in here that are like curveballs.
Like, goddamn, fuck partition, man. That shit was stupid.
But that's not Pakistan's fault.
No, it isn't. But it's why they exist.
And you have to ask the question: was Jinnah wrong? And should have it stayed with India?
I don't know.
Was it a mistake to make a Muslim country?
They had their reasons, but it's also like it went way further than anyone expected.
Plus, when he finally accomplishes it, he dies right after.
We should do a Pakistani like leaders tier list, like Yahya Khan, Zia al Haq.
Oh, I would bring my friend in that for as well, because I don't know enough about Pakistan on that level. But
Like they have some very let's, for lack of a better term, interesting leaders. They've had some interesting leaders.
you know, you got Bhutto.
You got Bhutto.
What has Pakistan done to help the world?
They assisted the Bosnians.
They also, apparently, it's a rumor. I've been assured it's not true, but they also helped the Saudis during the Grand Mosque siege. I've heard that it's not true.
I've heard
At
that.
all.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, though. Well, they could have, because there are a lot of Pakistani soldiers under contract in the Saudi army.
They've killed a lot of terrorists.
I mean, dude, again, the real big stain on Pakistan, in my view, is
Zia al Haq.
Yeah, Zia al Haq and what they did in Bangladesh. Well, Zia al Haq, wasn't what happened in Bangladesh mostly Yahya Khan?
Well, I guess we're gonna have to, like, that's the thing is
The one big thing where it's like that's
yeah, the way because like I get a lot of like my information by talking to people firsthand, and that's the thing is it's like Pakistan is one of those countries where everyone has like their own side of the story.
Yeah.
So my general understanding is that it's pretty much all Zia al Haq's fault. Like he's the one who really started making the country go downhill. So it's more. So I would say Pakistan's problems are more to blame on him than the entire like society and state itself. Like he has done bad things, but maybe not so much the nation.
They've had some, between Yahya Khan and Zia al Haq, they've had some pretty shit leaders. There are some Zia al Haq fans out there, though.
Oh, I know. There's fans of everyone.
They're like a lot of them.
Okay, so what has Pakistan done to harm the world?
I'd say the number one thing is obviously the genocide in what is now Bangladesh. That was actually like I don't think people realize like how insanely horrific that was, even on like the scale of genocide. Certain drone strikes in Afghanistan, that's not cool.
Assisting the Taliban to take over Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Twice.
I
don't blame Afghanistan for 9/11. I don't blame the Taliban for 9/11.
Balochistan.
But yeah, the oppression. The oppression of the people. No. I mean, also like as like the whole war in Waziristan, they just went in there and just like they did a mass evacuation, right? And then they just went in there and just leveled them, destroyed everyone. It was like Fallujah. All right, so we're going to piss off the Pakistanis by putting it right here?
It's fucked because I know a lot of Pakistanis, and they're actually all great. Like, they're all fantastic.
We have a lot of Pakistani fans.
Do we actually?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because a lot of people, especially because of Afghan refugees and stuff like that, a lot of people grew up in Pakistan.
I just want to say, from my end,
that's the thing. Like I said, if they were actually responsible for Al Qaeda, maybe I could say, but like, I don't know. The Taliban is not. The Taliban are the Taliban. You know, it's a different country.
Yeah, it's a different system.
Yeah, and like, I'm gonna invite anyone who wants to defend the entire nation of Pakistan, into now for something lighter.
Nothing against Pakistanis. Cool people. Cool people. Everybody from the Indian subcontinent is pretty cool.
Now for something lighter.
Yo, Bonesaw Man, Chainsaw Man. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chainsaw Man like manga anime.
I mean, didn't they just have like a game or something come out about it?
They might have. I don't know about that, but when they released the anime recently, someone put MBS's like face on the front cover with Chainsaw Man. That made me laugh hysterically.
Now, I think like I was torn whether to put the entire House of Saud or just him.
No, the entire House of Saud, we would have ended up with a conversation like the one we just had on Pakistan.
Yeah.
We're going to be like going back and forth.
So, has this guy done more good or more damage to the world?
think by the time his reign is up, probably more damage, but that's left to be seen.
I think about right here.
Yeah, that seems fair.